To find out which villains in Kung Fu Panda could be redeemed, we will use 3 categories: their motivation, why they have it, and whether or not sympathetic or not, their crimes, and the redeeming qualities. Alright, let's get started. We will be beginning with the first and best villain of the franchise, Tai Lung. His motivation throughout the first Kung Fu Panda is the Dragon Scroll, as it was prophesied by the great master Oogway to contain the limitless power. Now Tai Lung made it his lifelong goal to achieve this scroll, but he was rejected by Oogway when the time came to assess his abilities and determine if he was worthy. He was rejected due to the fact that Tai Lung had darkness in his heart and a lack of humility. Now Tai Lung really didn't like that. He went into a blind rage and rampaged throughout the Valley of Peace, trying to steal the Dragon Scroll by force, which obviously didn't work due to Oogway's intervention. Now after all this, what compelled Tai Lung to have such a strong desire for the Dragon Scroll? It all starts with how Tai Lung was raised in the Jade Palace. See, I believe the blame for Tai Lung's fall was mostly Shifu's. Shifu raised Tai Lung with much love and pride, telling him he was destined for greatness. But unknowingly to Shifu, this was building Tai Lung's pride and ambition with nothing to pull it down. Shifu's belief of his greatness became Tai Lung's belief, that if he worked hard enough, he was to be granted the greatness of the Dragon Scroll. And when Tai Lung's lifelong belief was challenged, his pride was hurt, and his training was for nothing. And the only response he could muster was to lash out on those he believed wronged him, and to take what in his mind he rightfully deserved. Now, I think most of the initial anger wasn't caused by his denial, it was caused by Shifu's lack of defense for him. When Oogway rejected Tai Lung, what did Shifu do? Maybe try to convince his master to reevaluate his position? No. Instead, he did nothing. Tai Lung spent his whole life making Shifu proud, but when it mattered most, Shifu couldn't even defend him to his master. Shifu was the one who filled his head with a dream and a destiny that was now unachievable, and he could tell this hurt him. It's no wonder why he harbored so much hate for Shifu throughout this movie. I'm not saying that Tai Lung isn't responsible for his actions, but now you can see why he felt inclined to do the terrible things that he did. Now, to sum this all up, I believe Tai Lung's motivation is sympathetic. He felt betrayed by those he trusted, and was denied what he felt he rightfully deserved. I see Tai Lung as a failed student whose fall could have been easily prevented if his upbringing was taken with more care and humility instead of just blind love and pride. Now that we're finished with his motivation, we can now move on to his crimes. Now, throughout the story, we see Tai Lung commits massive amount of property damage, notably the Jade Palace, the Valley of Peace, and the prison. He assaults anyone who dares get in his way, be it skilled warriors or ordinary citizens. I'm not quite sure if he's killed any civilians or just brutally beat them up. Anyways, in the movie he does break Shifu's hip or leg, I'm not sure, but it's why he has a limp later on. Worse yet, he scarred Shifu from loving others, which resulted in Tigress being emotionally neglected as a child and in most of her adult life. But his worst crime in my eyes is basically killing most of the Rhino guards. Like, there is no way more than half of those guards did not survive. Falling off bridges, getting completely incapacitated by Tai Lung, and if they did survive, they died in a last-ditch effort to stop him with cave rocks. Also, don't forget the explosives Tai Lung used to launch the rest of them off the cliff. Definitely not the worst of the 3 villains, but that doesn't make it good either. Now let's move on to his redeeming qualities. Now before Tai Lung went on a rampage, he was a defender of the Valley of Peace like the Furious Five, and means he has been on peacekeeping missions and overall doing good in China for the first part of his life. Also, in the end of his battle with Shifu, he felt emotion and regret when Shifu gave the apology he always wanted, but was far too deep in his ways to see himself going back and rejected it. In summary, I believe Tai Lung is a redeemable villain despite all the evil things that he did, especially now that he's been beaten, broken, and humiliated. All these things should have developed the humility he so lacked. These defeats and setbacks revealed that his destiny was not to be the Dragon Warrior, but to be something else, and I'm sure he's grasped this by now. Now it's time to talk about everyone's favorite villain, Lord Shen. You know, considering how many video essays are made about him. Anyways, Shen's motivation in the second movie is to conquer China and to change his fate. He was entering a dark path as a young prince, fascinated by the destructive capabilities of fireworks. His parents were deeply troubled by their son's ongoing darkness and consulted a soothsayer. She predicted that he'd be stopped by a warrior black and white. Shen overhears his fate and decides to take action to prevent it, and commits mass genocide. Moving on, it's now time to talk about Kai, the weakest character on this list. character-wise. Now Kai's motivation is to steal the chi of every master in China and destroy Oogway's legacy. Now he wants to destroy Oogway's legacy because he destroyed his. He wiped Kai's memory from history that even every master in China doesn't even know who he is. And he wants to steal chi because, I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. It's not really explained, it's just a thing he does. Definitely to get more power, but why? No idea. I've seen one person explain this well, and I'll play it now.
He would rise to become the Jade Slayer, the Master of Pain, and the Maker of Widows because of his experiences seeing Oogway almost die. He was a young bull when he became a hero of China, but no matter the accolades or the victories he had, nonetheless, he was unable to protect his brother from every threat. Seeing Oogway almost die meant that Kai finally knew that he wasn't all-powerful, and I think that scared him.
This does explain a lot about Kai's motivation and would have made the movie itself a lot better. Now let's see if these motivations are sympathetic. His goal to erase Oogway's memory is sympathetic in my opinion. The guy wiped Kai from the world twice, once with banishment and the other erasure from history. Over stealing chi once? It's kinda harsh. Now the stealing chi part is somewhat sympathetic with the explanation, but without it it's completely unsympathetic. He's quite literally kidnapping people and using their life force for his own doing. For no good reason either, other than power. Now, onto his crimes. Now when it comes to Kai, he outdoes Tai Lung in property damage. I mean, he completely destroyed the Jade Palace, whereas Tai Lung only destroyed parts of it. He also outdoes Tai Lung in mass assaulting anyone who gets in his way. He is relentless, attacking many masters throughout China. Beats up the Furious 5, Shifu, and Po. He brutally kicks Po while high up in the air and punches the poor guy through pure rock in the spirit realm. At this point, he might as well be trying to kill him. Now, the next one isn't a crime, but should be criminal. He held on to a grudge against Oogway for 500 years. Now, Kai's worst offense is his mass kidnapping. Like, any master he comes across is getting their chi kidnapped, even Tai Lung, and I'm sure Tai Lung gave him a good fight. And I'm pretty sure he's been doing this for 500 years, so that means some masters have had their chi taken for a very, very long time. All these things are pretty bad, but I think he's below Shen and higher than Tai Lung when it comes to crimes. Now it's time for his redeeming qualities. He's voiced by J.K. Simmons? Nah, I'm just kidding. He was a warlord alongside at the time his brother-in-arms Oogway. And when Oogway got hurt, he carried him for days till he could get healed. But that shows he was once a really good person, but that betrayal he felt by Oogway hurt him quite a bit, that he never truly recovered from it. Also, his theme song is pretty good. In summary, is he redeemable? Crimes aside, no, Kai is far too powerful. He is a master at chi and can steal anyone's if he pleases. He has fought the strongest warriors in China without a true struggle, even matching Oogway in the first fought and then beat him the next. Some might say Tai Lung is as dangerous, but the difference is he was beaten by Po without enhancement. Kai wasn't really beaten directly, as Po was given chi by the pandas and tigress, and only then he managed to use it to beat Kai. I mean, now that Po is a master at chi and is now teaching others how to use it, it might not be as bad, but still very risky. The biggest issue with his redemption is that he held on to a grudge for 500 years, showing his unwillingness to change, and even said he'd wait another 500 years to take Po's chi too. Now to those of you who stayed towards the end, I would like to link fun. The first subscriber and commenter will have their usernames edited onto my channel banner that I'm creating. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, consider liking or subscribing, I would appreciate it a lot. Anyways, take care.